Hello and welcome to News Across Nigeria. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. On the program today, Nigerian mediators say some Chibok schoolgirls still in captivity refuse to be part of the group freed. Minister of Works, Power and Housing blames electricity distribution companies for concealing information on reforms. And governors of Cross River and Akwa Ibom states close ranks, insist on regional cooperation. A mediator involved in the release of the 82 Chibok schoolgirls freed over the weekend by Boko Haram says some of the girls still in captivity refuse to be part of the group freed. The militants on Saturday, May the 6th this year, released the 82 schoolgirls out of the more than 200 who were kidnapped in April 2014 from northeast Nigeria in exchange for Boko Haram prisoners. In an interview with Reuters, the mediator, Zana Mustafa, says some of the abducted girls have refused to return home, fueling fears that they have been radicalized by the jihadists and may feel afraid, ashamed, or even too powerful to return to their old lives.
In humanitarian aspect, we are only talking of life saving. We are able to save more than 100 lives now. So are we continuing? If we are continuing, how are we going to continue? Are we going to save more lives, or are we restrict ourselves to Chibok? If we restrict ourselves to Chibok, then we have a time limit. We have a time frame which we will stop. But if we are talking of complete transformation, it will be a sort of a continual process that everybody will come and lay or key into the process. Even thereafter, there are more other girls being abducted that are running into thousands that nobody has advocated for them. So we need to have these ones out through this process. So if you now get complete transformation, cessation of hostility, stopping the suicide bombing, you have now started attending it. By the time you've been talking to this group of people, then you should expect that there are many ones that have been coming.
Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, is accusing distribution companies of frustrating government efforts towards regular power supply in the country. Now, at a meeting in Jos, the Plateau State capital, the minister said he is disappointed with the conduct of the discos, accusing them of concealing information to the public on what government is actually doing to resolve the problems of electricity supply.
The Minister of Power arrived in the venue of the meeting for operators of the power sector. He is accompanied by Yayali Ahmed, the chairman, Jos Electric Company. After exchanging pleasantries, they all moved to the hall where the operators are waiting for the day's event. The meeting afforded the minister the opportunity to make his feelings known on the state of the power sector.
I regret to announce that at best this objective is not being fully achieved, or at worst is being frustrated by the distribution companies who have formed themselves into an association of distribution companies and have persistently issued statements on issues they either did not present for discussions at these meetings or which contradicts the communique that is jointly agreed and released after each meeting. The latest of such statements, which are wholly misleading and substantially untrue because they conceal facts from the public, was issued and published on the 18th of April in the newspapers.
The issue of escrow accounts also attracted the attention of the minister as it relates to the conditions of accessing the loan by the distribution company.
As far as the regulation on your procurement is concerned, What the public needs to know, which your statement is silent on, is that you are entitled to fully recover your costs and investment by law. And this is a function of how tariffs are also calculated. So if you make investment, they are passed through to consumers. Therefore, if government holds 40% of the shares of discos on behalf of the states and the local governments and the Nigerian people, I believe that it has a duty to ensure that you buy your parts and your equipment at reasonable and competitive market prices, and not through inflated contracts to relatives, as we have seen in some discos.
A minute of silence was observed in honor of those electrocuted in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, as the minister says he regrets the incident, which he describes as avoidable.
Two states from the South-South geopolitical zone, Akwa Ibom and Cross River, say they are in close partnership to improve their economy. Now, this collaboration will provide new frontiers for economic activities to thrive, particularly in oil and gas and agriculture. Now, the governors of the two states, Udom Emmanuel and Ben Ayade, met in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, to firm up their relationship.
It's not often you hear two states coming into partnership. But here, the governments of Cross River and Akwa Ibom states have resolved to work together to improve their economy. The two governors and the minority leader of the Senate get into a closed-door meeting in Calabar to fine-tune the partnership, which will include oil and gas, agriculture, as well as the manufacturing sector.
We have agreed that we must have a South-South forum where the governors of the South-South and the National Assembly members and leaders of the South-South must sit down and discuss the national question. That Cross River State, Akwa Ibom State, and all the Niger Delta states must sit together to discuss the fate of this country.
We are trying to redefine and reappraise what we've done so far and see what we can do for our people. That we can't pay lip service again to poverty alleviation. We need to take some actions. But permit me not to mention those actions on camera. These are things that we still need to brainstorm and see how we can actually get to where we are.
For the minority leader of the Senate, who is also from Akwa Ibom State, this kind of cooperation is needed in the South-South geopolitical zone to cement the common heritage of the region.
Cross River State has a lot of landmass, and yes, Akwa Ibom has, but not so much in terms of commercial farming. And both of them discuss how they could cooperate together to employ more people and get our people to farm so that we can even become a kind of food belt for the nation. And I think these are things that will deepen the unity of the two states. So I'm very proud of both of them, and I'm very certain that from the National Assembly, if there's anything that has to do with enabling law, that nationally we will be able to work together to get it passed.
The Niger Delta region is one area that has suffered many years of degradation following oil spills and economic exploitation. And this is what this partnership wants to address. And those involved say they are optimistic that it will surely succeed.
Meanwhile, the body of Attorneys General of the 6 states in the oil-rich South-South is calling on oil companies operating in the region to comply with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo's admonition to them to establish their headquarters in communities where they operate. The call and the need to end gas flaring formed part of the 6-point communique issued at the end of the group's 2-day meeting in Uyo in Akwa Ibom State. The Attorney Generals noted that the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo's directive, is in line with the provisions of Sections 25, 26 and 27 of the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act 2010.
The body notes with regret the quantum of gas being flared annually by oil companies operating in the region and the nonchalant attitude of the federal government towards the enforcement of extant legislations on gas flaring. The body therefore, as a matter of national importance, call on the federal government to immediately stop the flaring of gas, pay to the states in accordance with the provisions of Section 162 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria their share of the revenue that ought to have accrued to the Federation account from the flared and or wasted natural gas. Recover from the oil companies the outstanding penalties for gas flaring running into trillions of naira and pay them into the Federation account for sharing in accordance with Section 162 of the Constitution.
When we come back on news across Nigeria, it's off to Edo State, and the governor is speaking on what needs to be done to end human trafficking. Stay with us.